Welcome to the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy e-learning program in association with the Family Life of Tobago Crossroads, as we present to you another module in the character series, Standing Strong as People of Character, Lesson 4, Making Decisions. I am your facilitator, Nigel Anthony Williams. Let us begin. At the end of this lesson, we want you students to be able to explain the importance of making right decisions, analyze how making wrong decisions can seriously affect your life, identify 5 steps that can be used when making decisions, and apply each decision-making step to help bring about a required outcome as you make decisions. For most teens, making impulsive decisions is normal. As most make decisions based on their immediate feelings. Even research shows that due to an underdeveloped frontal lobe and a lack of emotional maturity, teens react impulsively at times to fulfill their gratification. However, this is not always ideal, as some situations demand greater analysis. As we are required to make everyday decisions, some easier than others. Be mindful, every decision brings with it a negative or positive outcome. And we have to be very aware that whatever decision we make will affect the outcome. But how do we make difficult decisions? What should we do? When making difficult decisions, we want you to be careful. Carefully think through every situation. I'll repeat it again. Carefully think through every situation. Be proactive. And by this we mean anticipate the situation before it occurs, so you can be prepared. Stay focused. In other words, keep thinking about the desired goals and outcome. It is very important that we may remember the finishing line, because making decisions is very serious. Here is a tool that can help you when making decisions. It is called the 5 steps of decision making. And you can apply them to any situation that you might be facing. The first step when you are making decisions is always to identify the problem. You cannot solve a problem if you don't know what it is. So remember, before you begin, always identify what that problem is. Next, make a list of your options. Now, an option is just another word for choices or a choice. And we always have choices in situations. So, when making a decision, one of the tools to use is that you compile a list of every option that is presented to you. Next, evaluate. Evaluate each option. Take time out to go through each option and evaluate them. In other words, see if they can apply in your situation. Next, decide. We want you to decide which one of your options is best. Because by doing so, you are better able to make the right decision. And lastly, we want you to create and carry out your plan. Once again, create and carry out your plan. We are now going to look at a clip that I'm hoping we are going to analyze a little later, but using these same 5 steps. So, let's take a look at it.
Drug trafficking is illegal.
He told me he would give me money. He told me he would pay for my sick mother to get well. He told me he would solve all my problems.
Everything go on.
He told me it only involved one trip on an aeroplane. He told me all it would take is to swallow some little bags. He told me many women do it.
Everybody do it.
He told me everything would be all right. He told me just one little trip on an aeroplane. He never tell me what would happen if a bag split. He never tell me anything about the custom officers and the police at the airport. He never tell me about the strip search and the x-ray machines. He never tell me I would go to court. He never tell me I would spend years in prison. I wasn't even there when my mother died and was buried. He never tell me I would lose my children. If you carry drugs into England or Canada, you can be imprisoned for up to 15 years, and in the USA for a minimum of 10 years. If a bag bursts inside you, you will be dead in 2 hours.
For assistance, call our hotlines at 800-4EVA or 800-4382. A message from the National Drug Council, Ministry of National Security.
There you have it. A very serious situation about Eva. But let's use the 5 steps of decision making that we just went through to apply to this situation to see if we can help Eva. The first step that was discussed was to identify the problem. You know, there are times when we are not clear as to the actual problems. There are other times that there are many presenting problems and may not be so easily identified or may appear all at the same time. However, let's ask the question, what was the problem that Eva faced? What was that problem? We're going to take a quick glimpse at that clip again, and let's see if we can identify the problem that Eva faced.
He told me he would give me money. He tell me he'd pay for my sick mother to get well. Tell me he would solve all my problems.
Everything go on, alright.
There you have it. Were you able to identify Eva's problem? What do you think it was? What was the problem that Eva faced? In Eva's case, if you said that her problem was no money to take care of her family and her sick mother, then you would be absolutely correct. Eva had a problem, and her main problem was money. We then saw the need to compile or create a list. We must make a list of our options. What were Eva's options? Maybe Eva thought that drug trafficking was her only option. Do you think it was? The reality is that sometimes there are other options we never considered. And why making a list of options become very, very important. So let's help Eva. Let's help Eva think through the problem. What might she have missed as an option? Remember, Eva's problem was that she had no money to take care of her family and her sick mother. So, one of her options may have been to get a job. Or she could have gone to her family for help. If not her family, maybe she could have gone to the church in her community for help. Or find out about government-assisted programs. She could have even used as an option the offer from the drug pusher. The most important thing at this time is to ensure that you don't evaluate. Just compile your list of options. Just compile your list of options. Don't evaluate. After you have compiled your list, then you need to evaluate each option. Evaluate each option. Take the time to go through each option. Let's look at it. We need to ask ourselves at this stage, the following questions. Let's pay attention now. The first question we need to ask ourselves, will this impact me negatively or positively? Once again, will this impact me negatively or positively? Next question, what are the risks involved? What can happen if I choose option A or option B? What are the risks? Next, will I have to sacrifice, look at it, my standards in life? We all have standards. And when making decisions, when going through and evaluating every decision, we have got to identify and connect them to the standards that we may have in our lives. And will it compromise our standards? Next, how will this impact my family? If it fails, a lot of the times when we are going through situations, we think about ourselves, but we must be mindful that we are always connected to a family. After all, no man is an island. And last but not least, are the benefits worth the risk? Remember, we looked at the risk, what could happen. Now you must ask yourself the question, does the benefits worth taking that necessary risk? In other words, what can I lose if I should follow through with this behavior? Next, we choose the best option. Sometimes the best option produces the least negative outcomes. We have got to be mindful of that. That the best option usually produce the least negative outcomes. In other words, there's less bad things that can go wrong if I choose or make this choice. Next, we must think long term. We spoke about long term in a previous lesson. We must think long term and evaluate each possible outcome to better understand the consequences of our actions. So think long term and evaluate so that you can have the best results at the end. Remember, every decision comes with both negative and positive outcomes. And we want to be mindful of the consequences before we choose the one that is best, so that we will avoid regrets later in the situation or in our lives. So, do you think Eva's decision was the best option? Let's take a quick glimpse again to see if it was.
You never tell me what would happen if a bag split. You never tell me anything about the custom officers and the police at the airport. You never tell me about the strip search and the x-ray machines. You never tell me I would go to court. You never tell me I would spend years in prison. I wasn't even there when my mother died and was buried. You never tell me I would lose my children.
So, did Eva choose the best option? Let's look. Eva made her decision, of course. However, the outcome was very, very tragic. Why? Because she lost so much at the end. And this is why we need to take time to evaluate every situation. Remember, take time to evaluate every situation and create and carry out your plan. Once again, create and carry out your plan. After all, you took time to sit and to write it out. So As you have created it, now carry it out. And in order to do so, you got to write. Sit, write out the details of your plan. Don't wait for someone to tell you. You take the time. You sit, you write it out, and make sure that you pay attention to the details. Be clear. Be clear at each step of your plan. You know what's the outcome you are looking for, so be clear. When you are compiling or writing your plan down, be clear. Keep your desired outcome in mind. Remember, we want to get to a destination, and in order to do so, we have got to keep our desired outcome in mind. I'll say it again. Keep your desired outcome in mind. And look at this. Seek help. A lot of the times when we are faced with difficult situations or decisions to be made, we don't seek help. But if we should only seek help, we would recognize help is available. So seek help if needed, especially for those difficult parts of your plan. Seek help if needed to do those difficult parts. There are some parts that may not be as easily gotten to as others. So, seek help, especially when it comes to the hard parts. And ensure that you follow your plan to the end. Don't stop halfway. Don't give up. Every step is important, and this one is the most important as you get to your required outcome. So ensure that you follow your plan to its end. So at the end of it, you will make the best decision you can possibly make given whatever situation that may confront you. Let's reflect on what we would have done today. Let's try to always make decisions that we will not regret. Try never to make decisions you may live to regret. We don't want you to experience hardship or any negative situation. So try, when making decisions, that you ensure that you don't have any regrets. Take time. Carefully think through your options. It is important you understand why. Because wrong decisions can have serious consequences. So take time, carefully think through, so that you would avoid those serious consequences at the end. Follow the steps of decision making and make the best possible choices you can. So, let's continue. Remember to pray. Prayer changes things. So, always seek help from your Maker and review your plans as often as is needed. Review again. Don't rush the process. review, seek help where needed in the process from trusted individuals. For example, your guidance officer, your parents. So remember to pray. As prayer has the ability to change things. Review as often as needed and seek help in the process from trusted individuals, people like your guidance officer and your very own parents. So, on behalf of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy and the Crossroads Program Family Life Tobago, see you again next time where we would be discussing coping skills.